Good evening, I'm Stephanie Seacos. It's Wednesday, August 12th. This is CTV News at 6. Tonight, eyes on the sky. The exciting celestial events visible in the Maritimes. Plus, funding future. Why blue-green algae research in New Brunswick could be impacted.
The weather turns unsettled for the end of this week with a chance of showers and thunderstorms both Thursday and Friday.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Stephanie Seacos.
Thanks for joining us. Todd Battis is off tonight. We begin with a developing story. Police are investigating a shooting at a homeless encampment in Dartmouth. Halifax police received a call around 2:30 this afternoon about a man suffering from a gunshot wound in Green Road Park, a designated encampment site. The man was rushed to hospital with serious injuries. No word on whether any arrests have been made, though police say they do not believe this was a random incident. We'll provide updates on this story as they become available. A piece of a monument dedicated to 3 RCMP officers who were killed in the line of duty in Moncton in 2014 has been stolen. Nadine Larsh told CTV News she was visiting the statue of her late husband, Constable Doug Larsh, this morning when she noticed one of the 12 bronze maple leaves that wrap around the monument was missing. Larsh says she can't fathom why anyone would do such a thing.
I'm very angry that somebody came here and stole one of the bronze maple leaves from the base of the monument. And we all put our thumbprints in the base of the monument on the leaves to kind of leave our prints there for forever.
The monument was built to honor Constables Doug Larsh, Dave Ross, and Fabrice Gévaudan, who were shot and killed by a gunman in Moncton on June 4th, 2014. The city of Moncton is aware of the theft. RCMP have assigned an investigator to the case. Part of their job will be to canvass the area. There are hopes they can obtain video surveillance footage. The man accused of making a bomb threat in Halifax on Monday will be back in court on Friday. 54-year-old Ali Asakara faces charges of uttering threats and public mischief after a bomb threat was made to the U.S. consulate in Purdy's Wharf, which caused the evacuation of nearby streets. Police later said there was no threat and the roads reopened. The accused was set to appear in Halifax Provincial Court yesterday and today, but both hearings were adjourned.
We're still waiting for the police to complete their investigation. The relevant facts, pertinent facts that could still be there, they're important to both the Crown and defense. So just waiting till Friday to allow that investigation to continue so that we have more information.
He is scheduled to be back in Halifax Court at 9:30 Friday morning. And a reminder, for more coverage on this story, visit our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. All eyes are turning skyward today with 2 celestial events taking place. CTV's Jonathan McGinnis takes a look at who watched the partial solar eclipse this afternoon and who is preparing for the Perseid meteor shower tonight.
For Act 1, people gathered on the lawn at St. Mary's University this afternoon to view the partial solar eclipse.
What we should see is, once again, a little bite taken out of the sun. We should be able to see some solar activity just on the edge.
Eclipse glasses were provided and solar telescopes allowed for a close-up look at the moon's passage between the Earth and the sun.
First, this is our boy. It's just first time ever showed him any activities about the sun, about the solar system.
Some brought their own homemade viewing device.
Tinfoil, a needle, and cut a hole in it.
Unlike in 2024, today's eclipse didn't cover the whole sun. Only about 35% was blocked. But similar to 2024, the Maritimes was one of the best places to view the event.
We're pretty good. We are pretty far east in Canada, and the further east and the further north that you go, the better the viewing conditions are.
Once the sun goes down, the night sky will be the backdrop for the peak of the Perseid meteor shower, one of the most active meteor showers of the year, as the Earth passes through the debris from the comet Swift-Tuttle.
Estimates are about 60 to 100 per hour if you're in very dark skies, and that's across the whole sky.
St. Mary's University astronomy technician Tiffany Fields says the odds of a partial eclipse and the high point of the Perseid meteor shower happening on the same day is unusual.
Solar eclipses happen only once every 1 or 2 years, and so for it to land on the night of a peak of a meteor shower it's pretty rare.
So we're about 20% covered right now.
A great way to wrap up a busy day in the sky. Well, Stephanie, with the eclipse behind us, the focus now turns to tonight's Perseid meteor shower, and the weather looks perfect. The experts recommend getting away from the city lights, and if you can, find an elevated spot like this one for best viewing.
Thanks, Jonathan. CTV's Jonathan McGinnis reporting in Lawrencetown. And now there's a live look this evening at downtown Charlottetown, where it's sunny and 24 degrees at this hour. And let's get our first look at the forecast tonight. And for that, we go to CTV meteorologist Kaylin Mitchell. And we had great conditions today for that partial solar eclipse, and even better ones tonight for that Perseid meteor shower.
Yeah, Jonathan just scooped me there. But yes, weather conditions in the Maritimes look very ideal tonight, coming up for the peak of the Perseid's meteor shower. We'll recap that in the forecast in just a moment. We're heading into a very pleasant evening around the Maritime region. You can see that most temperatures right now are in the range of around 22 to 26 degrees. Checking in on humidex values, or what it feels like when it comes to the combination of temperature and humidity. These humidex values are not nearly as high as they have been over much of the last several days, because, as we were expecting, humidity values took another step down for the Maritimes on this Wednesday, thanks to a westerly wind and at a much more comfortable level, with those dew point temperatures mostly in the low to mid-teens, and expected to remain that way for tomorrow, though we do have a returning chance of some showers and a risk of thunderstorms. Speaking of showers and thunderstorms, you notice a couple parts of New Brunswick that still have a chance of a shower as we make our way through the first part of this evening, including up around the Acadian Peninsula, so right in the northeastern corner, and western areas of New Brunswick. You could see some spotty shower activity and occasional small thunderstorms developing in Maine, so some of those could cross the border here over the next couple of hours. So anything that does develop over the next hour or two will then be coming to an end, dissipating as we move through the remainder of this evening, which takes us into that night sky forecast. And there are going to be a few clouds around the Maritimes tonight, including in the late night hours and into the early morning hours of Thursday, which is the ideal viewing time for that Perseid meteor shower. But despite the fact that there'll be a few clouds around, there's also going to be extended breaks or openings of that clear night sky. So overall, it's pretty ideal viewing conditions, especially considering we currently have a new moon. So anybody heading out there to try and glimpse some of the Perseids is not going to be competing with that moonlight. Of course, you do want to get to a dark area away from community lights if possible. This Perseid meteor shower is best viewed 11 p.m. onwards. So you got to be either staying up late or maybe getting up very early. You want to go to a spot where you've got as open of a view of the night sky as possible, but generally gaze towards the north and northeast. Be patient. Don't be looking at the bright screens on your phones, because that'll reset your night vision. And again, you know, this is the peak of it. So this is one of the nights where you get the best chance of maybe spotting a few of those meteors. Like I said, coming up in the forecast tomorrow, Stephanie, we do have a chance of showers and a risk of some thunderstorms. So I'll be going over the timing of that, which areas might have the best shot at seeing a little bit of wet weather when I'm back a little bit later on.
Sounds good. Thanks, Kaylin. We'll see you in about 15 minutes for that forecast. Some big changes are being introduced this week to how weather alerts are being reported. In particular, warnings for severe thunderstorms and tornadoes. CTV's Nick Moore on how the warnings will, more than ever, hit closer to home.
Severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings issued by Environment and Climate Change Canada are now being issued with more precision. Warnings for these two types of weather used to be issued as broad alerts across a large area, leaving many places with blue skies.
This new system is more targeted So the forecaster is able to essentially draw a shape like a polygon that encompasses the severe weather threat itself and the areas that are likely to be directly impacted by it.
Giselle Dukey is a warning preparedness meteorologist with Environment Canada and says the goal isn't only to narrow the warning area, but also cut down on the number of weather alerts popping up on people's smartphones, also known as alert fatigue.
It's a big concern because especially if we have a tornado that's imminent or occurring in the region, you don't want anyone to take that risk lightly. So at least when now there's a targeted warning that's coming towards the public, they'll see this warning and be like, let's take a look at the safety information. Is it near me? Is it coming towards me?
This is an excellent change to our warning system here in Canada.
CTV meteorologist Kaylin Mitchell.
It basically means that we're going to get fewer instances where severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings are issued for communities or people who were getting them before, where that severe weather is not actually, in fact, in proximity or moving in.
The change from broad to targeted warnings only apply to severe thunderstorms and tornadoes.
This all goes back to just how highly localized both severe thunderstorm warnings and tornadoes are. Very localized events. You know, they hit one community but miss one up the road.
For the time being, Environment Canada is making both zone-based and polygon warnings available for severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings, allowing time for third weather platforms to make the change. Nick Moore, CTV News, Fredericton.
An announcement in Halifax today from the federal government on climate resilience projects in 128 communities across Canada. Several of those projects are being developed in Nova Scotia. According to the government, these projects are being supported by the Green Municipal Fund's Local Leadership for Climate Adaptation Initiative. One of these projects is in the Halifax Regional Municipality, and it will implement cooling measures in parks.
I'm very proud to announce that our government is investing over $34 million to support 128 communities from coast to coast to coast to strengthen their climate resilience and protect Canadians.
With this funding of $785,380, we are appreciative of every penny here at HRM. We will build shade structures and drinking water access in our parks.
The 141 projects that we're announcing today look at different designs, whether it's a wharf upgrade in the town of Woody Point, Newfoundland, the misting stations in Victoria, BC, the erosion control in Barrie, Ontario, or the extreme heat mitigation for 16 community parks right here in Halifax.
The timeline and the actual parks that will see the improvements will be announced at a later date. A new public housing project in Lower Sackville, Nova Scotia is nearing completion. Most of the building for the 22-unit structure happened off-site. The province says modular construction projects like this will help get more housing built faster. CTV's Jesse Thomas has more.
They were raising the roof. Literally, it was being lifted into place by a giant crane, marking the near completion of this modular construction project that will soon be new public housing, offering rent geared to income at this 22-unit building in Lower Sackville.
I think it does make sense for the province to go this method of construction. Looking at cost, you're looking at a product that, highly efficient.
The construction and development of this project comes with a price tag of around $12.1 million. Modular construction is seen as a vital part of the province's plan to build 515 new public housing units,
which is the biggest announcement in the province history, and we're just about 300 right now that are various degrees of construction, such as this one.
While construction ramps up here on Old Beaverbank Road, there's still 3 to 4 months of work to go before tenants move in. This building is actually 76 modular units, all tied together.
We were shipping roughly 6 to 9 boxes a day, which allowed us to set continuously on a daily trend.
These modular units are built off-site in Trenton at the East Cut warehouse and then brought here and assembled on site. The province says this can cut down on construction time and costs, which is an important advantage they're looking for in order to grow the public housing stock. An indicator of the speed is this construction site was nearly empty 4 weeks ago with only a foundation in place.
There's another 22-unit building that's very similar to this one in Glace Bay, and there's 30 units going up in Kentville right now. The modular units really are making a mark, and it's a sector that is ready to really move and really help with supply of housing.
Jesse Thomas, CTV News, Lower Sackville, Nova Scotia.
An unscheduled price adjustment meant drivers were paying more at the pumps today in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. In Nova Scotia Zone 1, gas increased by 6.5 cents overnight. The minimum price is now $1.77 a liter. Diesel in the Halifax area increased by 9.3 cents a liter. The minimum price is now $2.29.3. In New Brunswick, the price of gas did not change. It rests at a maximum price of $1.79.8 a liter. However, diesel did increase in New Brunswick by 4 cents a liter. The maximum price is now $2.39.6. Prices on PEI will undergo an unscheduled adjustment tonight. The future of a New Brunswick Environmental Fund is in question tonight, raising concerns for researchers and local watershed associations. CTV's Anna Mandan reports on why and the impact it could have on blue-green algae research.
The future of New Brunswick's Environmental Trust Fund and many watershed associations around the province are at risk. Environment Minister Gilles Lepage says the province has secured funding for next year, but he cannot confirm beyond then.
We have to find the funds somewhere. So we're trying to find some solutions within our department and within our partners.
That's a concern for many environmental groups, like the Hammond River Angling Association, which is devoted to preserving the Hammond River watershed.
So if the funding does not continue, the overall impact would be really, really large. For some of the smaller organizations, this could include a significant decrease in staffing capacity or potential to not run their organization at all.
Something she says could impact habitat restoration, wildlife protection, and natural infrastructure upgrades.
Ecotourism, just overall, it's what defines our province. Nature is New Brunswick, and we really need this trust fund moving forward.
Watershed associations also contribute to cyanobacteria or blue-green algae monitoring. A research scientist with the Canadian Rivers Institute says that plays an important role in her research.
It's not just my work, it's the ability to work with other people and the ability for science to be able to reach the public and these other groups that are doing the same type of work.
It's not just watersheds. The fund supports a variety of programs, including conservation, waste management, and environmental awareness initiatives. Its importance is not lost on Lepage.
I can assure you that I've been working with the watershed associations prior to being minister when I was critic of environment, and that's what we heard. They need sustainable financial contributions and partnership.
He says $7.5 million is available for funding next year. Anna Mandan, CTV News, Fredericton.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
The Halifax Tides are marking an historic roster transaction in the Northern Super League. Keeper Riley Foster-Inman is being transferred to Everton FC of England's Women's Super League. This is the first ever player transfer from the NSL to the WSL. Foster-Inman started as the Tides keeper this season, while Annika Toth was sidelined due to an injury. The Tides have the fewest goals against in the league at 14 and are sitting in fourth and in playoff contention, in large part due to Foster-Inman.
It's exciting. I think it's a little bit of an idea or impression of where our league is at. It's exceeded expectations, so I don't think it's just about the Halifax Tides. I think this puts the league even more so on the global map. Riley ended up playing the bulk of the games. He has a really strong defensive line in front of her, but her leadership, distribution, professionalism, all were things that were added to our environment. And so excited for her to go there.
The Tides have also added goalkeeper Kirsten Tynan on a short-term loan from Vancouver Rise FC for the remainder of the 2026 season. Tynan was part of Vancouver's inaugural NSL Championship winning squad in 2025 and was part of the Tides' inaugural training camp back in 2024. Still to come, a chance of showers, risk of thunderstorms tomorrow. Kalen returns with his full forecast. But next, collection concerns.
If they're short on blood donations, they're losing a whole population that could give blood.
Questions are being raised about why there are a lack of blood donation facilities in Cape Breton. That story is next.
This is your Campfire Conditions Report, and it is brought to you by Pine Acres RV, where customers become friends. If you are in the province of New Brunswick, you are currently allowed to have a campfire. For the province of Nova Scotia, campfires are allowed between the hours of 7 p.m. and 8 a.m. And for Prince Edward Island, campfires are currently permitted, with domestic brush burning allowed between the hours of 2 p.m. and 8 a.m. for both Kings and Queens counties, though in Prince County, domestic brush burning is limited to the hours of 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. Remember, as well as those provincial restrictions, to check to make sure you are adhering to any municipal restrictions and bylaws.
Welcome back. We often hear about the growing need for blood donations, but for more than a decade now, people on Cape Breton have largely had to travel to give. And recently, efforts to hold collection in a community trying to help a young cancer patient have hit roadblocks too. Here's CTV's Ryan McDonald.
They say that it's in you to give, and recently some people living in the Marguerite area have had good reason to want to donate blood.
It was a child that was going through leukemia treatments.
Angie Carroll and some others who live along the Cabot Trail wanted to host a blood donor afternoon in their community. They contacted Canadian Blood Services but were told it wouldn't work.
I called and various times, and we tried to, they said no, that we were not close enough. Any place that was local was not close enough for them to get a safe supply of blood to wherever they wanted it.
It's pretty discouraging, particularly because after you give, then you get spammed with the, you know, it's in you to give, it's in you to give, it's in you to give, you should give again, you're allowed to give again. But yeah, it's very inconvenient.
Despite any inconvenience, Cyril McDonald has managed to donate in almost every province since the blood donor clinic in Sydney was closed in 2015. At the time, the area's population was in sharp decline, but McDonald figures it has rebounded enough that a clinic here might once again be sustainable.
I would say CBRM and certainly Cape Breton Island has the population to support it.
In a statement, Canadian Blood Services said while they are grateful for the ongoing and growing support for blood donation in Sydney, decisions on where mobile donation events are held or new centres open are made nationally and consider factors including labour and transportation costs, distance to the nearest production site, and overall system efficiency.
I think it's terrible. I think they're losing a lot of rural people that would donate blood. If they're short on blood donations, they're losing a whole population that could give blood.
For the foreseeable future, people like Carol will have to travel to donate or give when they travel. Ryan McDonald, CTV News, Sydney.
That brings us to tonight's web poll. We're asking, is it easy to donate blood in your community? Your options are yes, no, or I'm not sure. To weigh in, visit ctvnewsatlantic.ca. Still to come, a nice-looking weekend ahead, but not before some showery conditions. Kaylin will return with those details next. A relaxing scene here along the coast today at Encampment, Nova Scotia. That does really look like the place to be today.
I'm surprised those chairs aren't getting a little more use.
I know. If I was anywhere near there, I would have been sitting there right at this moment if possible. But really, still nice out there this evening as well. You know, we've been seeing it was a not so hot day today. Hot, but not as hot.
That's right. And maybe at the time that video was taken, everybody was trying to catch some of that partial solar eclipse.
Yes.
Yeah. Beautiful day today in the Maritimes. We do see a change coming up for tomorrow, so more on that in a moment. Some returning showers and risk of thunderstorms. Where they could really use wet weather, of course, is out in British Columbia. A number of wildfires, still air quality issues due to wildfire smoke, especially in parts of the interior, southern interior of BC. Taking a look at conditions through the prairie provinces, temperatures quite moderate, even a little bit cool at this hour at Calgary, sitting at 13 degrees, then 22 at Regina and 26 at Winnipeg. Up in the north right now, Whitehorse sitting at 21. It's 19 at Yellowknife. And speaking of cool, Iqaluit right now, low single digits, 4 degrees, but reporting some sunshine. There's some showers making their way across parts of southern Ontario and southern Quebec. That is being accompanied in some cases by a few thunderstorms. That's along a trough of low pressure and a little bit of cool air located above, so aloft in the atmosphere, and that's creating the unsettled conditions, and that is shifting eastward to us in the Maritimes for tomorrow. So that's where we're going to see a change in our weather pattern. 26 at Fredericton right now, 25 at Halifax, 24 at Charlottetown, and 21 at St. John's in Newfoundland. Taking a look at our timeline for cloud cover and precipitation. So low chance, couple areas in New Brunswick could see some spotty showers over the next couple of hours this evening. But then those will be coming to an end. There will be a few clouds present over the Maritimes during the overnight, but as we talked about earlier, also some extensive clear breaks. So for those looking to view the Perseid meteor shower, it's about as good of conditions as we are going to get. In the forecast for tomorrow, we do start off the day mostly sunny, but then we'll see some cloud cover develop and move in through the afternoon. And then that will be accompanied by some scattered showers. And with those showers, especially as we move into the afternoon and early evening, there may be some that develop into some thunderstorms. Now, where the highest chance of a shower or thunderstorm is going to be for the Maritimes tomorrow will be in the province of New Brunswick, as well as generally western areas of Nova Scotia. And that's as that trough of low pressure moves in from the west. And then as that system moves up just to the northeast of the Maritimes for Friday, and parts of the region will be on the back side of it, the higher chance of a shower or thunderstorm shifts towards more eastern parts of the Maritimes, eastern areas of New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and northern and eastern areas of Nova Scotia. So basically scattered showers in the region next couple of days through the end of this week, and with those showers, a risk that a few could develop into some thunderstorms. Taking a look at the winds in the forecast coming up for tomorrow, they're going to be mostly out of the west and southwest, sustained 10 to 20 kilometers per hour with some gusts between 20 and 40. Low temperatures in the forecast for tonight, pretty comfortable for sleeping conditions. Most of the lows will be around the low to mid-teens for the region, and then highs tomorrow for communities in the north of New Brunswick, low to mid-20s down through central and southern areas of New Brunswick. Most of the high temperatures between about 21 and 25 degrees. And then for Prince Edward Island on Thursday, high temperatures, it'll be around 23 to 25 degrees. Cape Breton for tomorrow, most of the high temperatures will be 23 to 26. Mid-20s for communities on the north shore of mainland Nova Scotia. On the eastern shore, most of the high temperatures around 24, 25 degrees. 25 for Amherst tomorrow, 26 for Truro, city centers Halifax and Dartmouth, highs near 25. The Annapolis Valley with high temperatures around the mid-20s. And then for communities on the south shore of Nova Scotia, temperatures down a few degrees with mostly 20 to 23 expected. Taking a look at the 7-day forecast. So again, a little bit unsettled through the end of this week for the Maritime region, but the weekend ahead looks very fair. Sunny on Saturday and then a mix of sun and cloud on Sunday. That's followed by a chance of showers at the start of next week and then return to a mix of sun and cloud for New Brunswick on Tuesday and Wednesday. Temperatures very seasonable through that stretch of days, except when an occasional shower moves through, then it cools off a little bit. Chance of showers, risk of thunderstorms for New Brunswick, for Nova Scotia on Friday, mostly for eastern parts of the province. Sunshine for Saturday. Sunday, a mix of sun and cloud, and that's followed by a chance of showers Monday into Tuesday of next week, then a mix of sun and cloud Wednesday. And for Prince Edward Island, got a low chance of a shower or thunderstorm over the next couple of days, but sunshine to start the weekend. A mix of sun and cloud for Sunday, and a chance of showers Monday to Tuesday of next week, followed by a mix of sun and cloud on Wednesday. Stephanie.
Thanks, Kaylin, and we'll check in with you later for the wake-up weather. But next, we'll talk about the rise in young people reaching out to Kids Help Phone as the school year approaches and what's behind the increase. Stay with us.
Okay, so coming up on the show tomorrow, another chance to win that $100 gift card to Shoppers Drug Mart.
Yeah, that'll be right around 7:30.
Plus, we'll have details on how you can win tickets to Beaterfest.
As kids prepare to head back to school, there are plenty of factors that add to the stress of a new year. And with that stress comes the need for many to seek out support. Kids Help Phone, a 24/7 confidential e-mental health service for youth, says texting support in the overnight hours is now more than 2.5 times higher than daytime demand. To talk about this, we are joined by Rebecca Shields, President and CEO at Kids Help Phone. Thanks for speaking with us, Rebecca.
Thanks, Stephanie.
So first off, you say the number of kids reaching out at night has jumped. What do you attribute this to?
I think the complexity that young people are facing across Canada, coast to coast to coast, is getting more and more complex. Stephanie, let me break it down. In the first 6 months of 2026, we saw a 24% increase overall in the text volume compared to that same period last year. And in Atlantic Canada, it's even higher. PEI saw a 59% increase, New Brunswick 49%, Nova Scotia 26%, and fortunately, but we're not, Newfoundland and Labrador 12%. So across Canada, we're seeing major need for young people that are in crisis and need support.
And why are we seeing people reaching out more overnight maybe than versus during the daytime hours?
You know, when I speak to our National Youth Council and young people, they tell me a couple of things. First, they tell me sometimes nighttime is the only time that they're alone. They're in school during the day, or they have jobs or clubs or working, their parents or friends are around. At nighttime, there's nobody else there. And not only is nobody else there, there's no services are open. So we're very lucky that the over 1,500 volunteers and amazing staff at Kids Help Phone are up 24/7 to make sure that when those young people reach out, that there's somebody there exactly when they need, and they're in crisis and they need somebody to talk to.
And Rebecca, what kind of calls or text does Kids Help Phone typically receive?
So we get a range. I think you brought it up at the beginning. Stress and anxiety are top of mind for many young people. The second is relationships, and that can be relationships with parents, bullying, friends, a first-time relationship, a love relationship, or any kind of different types of relationship. The third is depression and a feeling of hopelessness. That can be because they're looking towards their future and wondering, you know, is AI going to take all of my jobs? I'm in school. What's happening? The economy, geopolitical events. And last and most concerning for me, and fourth top reason, is suicide and suicidal ideation. And so they're really in crisis with a hopeless sense of their future.
And you mentioned 1,500 volunteers. So give us an idea then, how many phone calls or texts is Kids Help Phone receiving? I imagine you have 1,500 volunteers. That would mean many, many more.
Oh, thousands. I mean, we receive a text message every 90 seconds across Canada. Of course, you already spoke to 183% more volume in the wee hours of the night between 8 p.m. and 2 a.m. than we get during the day. And so young people, that's telling us young people, they're on their devices. They may be doom scrolling. They may be just having that time to really think about it. What's really interesting, Stephanie, is that young people tell Kids Help Phone something, about 78% tell us that they tell us something that they've never told anyone else. So this is often the first time that they're even thinking through some of the things that are happening in their lives. You talked about social media or exploitation online. Maybe it's abuse. Maybe it's that they're failing a test. It could be big and small, but we're sometimes the first thing and a lifeline for so many young people. And isn't it great that there's a caring adult on the other end? It's interesting.
Mm-hmm. And do you find, is summer break a busier time of year? Does it get busier maybe as school ramps up or into the school year at all?
I think we're raising the alarm a little bit because not only have we seen this 24% increase, but we know traditionally there's usually another 10 or more % increase at that back to school time, depending where people are. Those are times of transitions, whether a young person is going into high school or they're maybe going into college or university. That is a huge time where there's a lot of anxiety for young people, and we always see an increase.
And you touched on, social media and exploitation. How much does social media play a role in kids needing help?
Unfortunately, more and more. We had a story the other day of a young boy who had a sexual exploitation photo. He was young, and it was shared by people in his class who he thought were his friends. And he was so scared, and he didn't want to tell his parents. He didn't want to rat out his friends. It was really complex. And so he spent over 90 minutes texting with one of our amazing crisis responders who helped him, first of all, feel okay, come up with a plan that made sense for him on how he could talk to his friends, how he could talk to his parents and think this through. And that's the value of Kids Help Phone, is that it's always there. And that's what I worry about the most and our team knows about those, is how important it is to be there when kids reach out, to build that trust. Because what happens when we're not there and the system isn't there? because that means that we've been failed by the system. Are they going to reach out again? Do we compound problems? We have a real opportunity to make sure that when kids reach out, there's professional support there when they need it, so that we don't exacerbate problems. And that's why we're raising the alarm. To see this increase, we have to make sure that the resources are in place to meet every kid for every call.
And just finally, as we head into another school year, what will you be watching for?
I'm really going to be watching for what that increase is. We're raising the alarm. We're hoping that caring adults reach out. We're hoping that governments have conversations and caring adults have conversations about what we can do to better support our young people, and to think about, what conversations can we have? How, as we as parents, do we prep our kids, give them those numbers so that they know, instead of AI or just a chatbot, that they can reach a kid's help phone, so that there's somebody there for them to talk to, knowing that they're going to get professional evidence-based support in the end.
All right, we'll have to leave it at that for tonight. Thank you for your time, Rebecca.
Thank you, Stephanie.
That was Rebecca Shields, the president and CEO at Kids Health Phone. We'll take a short break now. Stay with us. In the Lifeline tonight, the World Health Organization is warning that U.S. President Donald Trump's bid to overhaul child vaccination rates in the states goes against decades of evidence. CTV's Amanda Debison has more.
Doctors worry that U.S. President Donald Trump's new executive order on vaccines will stoke fear and confusion among parents at a time when measles is raging, immunization rates are falling, and children are heading back to school. The order advocates separating the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine into 3 different single disease shots and giving all childhood immunizations at separate appointments when possible. It also includes several changes to the childhood vaccine schedule already attempted by Trump's health department, which have been blocked by a federal judge. Doctors say the recommendations are not based on science and worry they will worsen vaccine hesitancy and endanger kids. Millions of Americans with untreated high blood pressure should be taking medication. That's according to the American Heart Association and American College of Cardiology. That's because nearly 10 million Americans now meet newly updated guidelines that redefine an adult's risk for cardiovascular disease. But a new study shows nearly 1 in 3 Americans with untreated high blood pressure would benefit from treatment and are not getting it. The study was published in the Journal of the American Heart Association. Finally, if you've ever suspected your dog can pick up on your emotions, you're right. They can by face reading. That's the word from a new study in the journal I Science, in which researchers not only established dogs' ability to discern human moods by examining our facial expressions, but also pinpointed the spots in the brain where that processing takes place. Researchers at the University of Vienna trained dogs to be comfortable inside an MRI scanner and studied how their brains reacted to pictures of human faces. They found the dog brain could categorize emotions as positive or negative. This isn't the first study to find that dogs respond in unique ways to human faces. Other research has shown that when a human face is happy, for example, dogs look more at the eyes than the mouth. The researchers believe their work can help improve the already deep ties dogs and humans share. With Health and Medical News, I'm Amanda Debison for the Lifeline.
We're on the scene and fresh from their triumphant appearance in Moncton over the weekend. The Jonas Brothers are in Hollywood as the brothers and Demi Lovato are together again in Camp Rock 3. ABC's Ashley Mackey spoke to the stars about going back to camp.
Grab a mic and a hat. Follow me if you can. It's been nearly 2 decades since the first Camp Rock had fans singing along, and now the music is back, and so are some familiar faces.
We read the script, we fell in love with it, we worked with our partners at Disney and our co-producer Demi, and we said, let's do this thing. It was the right timing.
Nick, Joe, and Kevin are back in their roles as Connect 3, while also executive producing alongside Demi Lovato, who first stepped into her role as Mitchie 18 years ago.
Mitchie is what started it all for me, and so Mitchie is one of the greatest prides of my life, and so meaningful to me. I owe so much to the fans of Camp Rock.
While the movie is rich with nostalgia, it also passes the torch to the next next generation of rock stars.
There's so many kids that have so much pent up, and to be able to have the power to express that is so important. I think Fletch does that, and I'm excited for people to relate to that.
It's really special, the way that we, pay ode to like the OGs, and we have the Jonas Brothers and Demi as an executive producer, and it just feels so surreal and so full circle for me.
16, 17, 18 years since the first one has flown by for me. My daughters are grown. They were little with me on set, and I just can't believe it. The Joe Bros are dads. Everybody's in their 30s. It's like, what happened?
You're heading to Camp Rock. What's the one thing you have to bring with you?
Ooh, a Tempur-Pedic pillow now that I'm 33.
Camp Rock 3 premieres August 13th on Disney Channel and the next day on Disney+. For On the Red Carpet, I'm Ashley Mackey.
On the markets, the Dow ended the day down 21 points. Meanwhile, a major windfall for Canada's largest airline had shares spiking today, reaching the highest point in 6 years. PNN Bloomberg's Lindsay Biscaya has more.
Air Canada shares were cruising comfortably above a 10% gain for most of the day after reporting Q2 earnings and confirming a partial sale of its loyalty program. The airline now confirming it will be selling a 25% stake in Aeroplan to Blackstone and a trio of Canadian pension funds for $2.5 billion. Air Canada says it will maintain full control of the travel reward program's day-to-day operations. Meanwhile, Air Canada also reported revenue and profit that beat expectations in the latest quarter, but it lowered its outlook for the year due to soaring jet fuel prices. Alphabet shares, meanwhile, fluctuated today after Google introduced its latest smartphone lineup. The new phones come with some subtle hardware and design improvements, but also higher prices. Starting prices are $100 higher across the board compared to last year, reflecting an unprecedented memory supply crunch. Some analysts say Google faces a crowded fall market where competitors are offering fresher looks. And here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to 71.72. West Texas Intermediate also finished the day higher, up to 83.27 a barrel. Western Canadian Select was down slightly to 65.73. And for the fourth straight trading session, the TSX finished at a new high, up to 36,662 points. Those are your business headlines. I'm Lindsay Biscaya.
Time for one final look at the forecast, and for that we go out to the weather deck where Kaylin is, and it looks like a fairly nice evening.
It's a beautiful evening out here, Stephanie, on the weather deck in the north end of Halifax, as it is across much of the Maritime region. Let's take a look at our viewer picture for tonight, and that, of course, is going to feature one of those partial solar eclipse pictures, of which I received many for today, and I want to thank everyone who took the time to send me one of those pictures in. This one is from Ian Day. It was taken at Glace Bay in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. Thank you so much for that, Ian. And Glace Bay for tomorrow, a mix of sun and cloud and a high temperature near 26 degrees. There might be a low chance of a shower late in the day. Day planner for tomorrow around the Maritime region should be a mostly sunny start, but there will be some cloud cover that increases, especially for western areas of New Brunswick and western areas of Nova Scotia as we move from the morning into and through the afternoon. Underneath that cloud cover, there will be some scattered showers, and some of those showers may develop into some thunderstorms. Any thunderstorms that do develop will bring lightning and the potential for some downpours. Let's find out what's ahead on your Morning Atlantic.
Thursday on Your Morning Atlantic, lacing up for a great cause.
Christmas Daddies is still a few months away, but the Navy divers are already limbering up for their annual 50K run.
Start your morning with us Thursday on Your Morning Atlantic on CTV2 and Crave.
Then, coming up here tomorrow at 6, a lack of civil discourse. What can be learned from the public figures of yesteryear about respect and toning down the negativity? That's tomorrow in Murphy's Logic at 6. And finally for us tonight, the Chicago White Sox may have hoped for divine intervention last night when they honored one of their most famous fans, Pope Leo. It was Pope night at the ballpark in Chicago last night. More than 40,000 Pope hats were to be distributed to the sellout crowd. His Holiness Pope Leo the 24th is a native of the Chicago area and a devout fan of the White Sox. The team also presented a check to the order where then Father Robert Prevost, now Pope Leo, served while in the Chicago area. Looks like a great time. And that will do it for us tonight. I'll be back here at 11:30 with your next newscast. But for local news anytime, you can visit our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. It's your home for news. From all of us here tonight, thanks for watching. Have a great night, and we'll see you back here tomorrow at 6.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast. Watch live on Crave.